She was born in 1820 into a life of wealth and privilege. Florence Nightingale grew up in a wealthy English family, surrounded by comfort. Most people would have expected her to marry a rich man, host grand dinners, and live a quiet life in luxury. But Florence felt something burning inside her, a calling that her family could not understand. From a young age, she felt drawn to care for the sick. She believed she was chosen for a purpose. But in the 1800s, nursing was not seen as a noble career. It was considered lowly, dirty, even shameful. For a woman of her status, becoming a nurse was unthinkable. Her parents objected, her friends mocked the idea, but Florence would not let go. She once wrote in her diary, "God called me in the morning and asked me would I do good for him, and I said yes." So she trained. She studied medicine and sanitation in secret. She learned how poor hygiene spread disease. She prepared herself for a fight she knew was coming, and in 1853 that fight arrived. The Crimean War broke out, and reports came back to England that soldiers were not dying from battle wounds, but from disease, filth, and neglect. Hospitals were overflowing, dirty, and chaotic. Soldiers lay on the floor, surrounded by rats, without blankets, without care. Florence Nightingale volunteered to go. She traveled with a team of nurses to a military hospital in Scutari, Turkey. What she found there was worse than anyone could have imagined. The hospital was hell on earth. There were no proper toilets, no clean water, no soap. The air was thick with the stench of disease. Wounded soldiers lay in their own blood, without food, without medicine. The death rate was staggering. More than 40% of the men who entered never walked out alive. Florence rolled up her sleeves. She did not hesitate. She scrubbed the floors, cleaned the linens, demanded fresh water, improved ventilation, and organized supplies. She trained her nurses, cared for the wounded, and gave them dignity when the world had forgotten them. At night, she would walk through the wards carrying a small lamp. In the silence, she moved from bed to bed, checking on the men, whispering encouragement, holding hands of those who were dying. The soldiers, broken and in pain, would watch her pass and whisper, "There goes the lady with the lamp." It was not just the care she gave that saved lives. It was her fierce determination to change the system. She gathered statistics, documented conditions, and showed that with proper hygiene, the death rate could be cut dramatically, and she proved it. Within months, deaths fell from 40% to just 2%. Florence Nightingale became a legend, but when she returned to England, she did not seek glory. Instead, she fought for reform. She pushed governments to recognize the importance of sanitation, not just in war hospitals, but in cities and towns. She established nursing schools, raised the standards of care, and forever changed medicine. Her legacy is not just the image of a woman with a lamp walking through the dark. Her legacy is the foundation of modern nursing. Every nurse today, every hospital protocol, every standard of hygiene owes something to the fight she started. But perhaps her greatest power was not in what she did, but in who she was. A woman who was expected to live quietly, who was told no, who was mocked for her ambition, yet refused to bow to the weight of tradition. She believed her purpose mattered more than society's expectations. Florence Nightingale once said, "I attribute my success to this. I never gave or took an excuse." She did not accept excuses from doctors, from governments, from tradition, and she did not accept them from herself. Her story reminds us that sometimes power is not about strength or wealth. It's about service. It's about answering the call that burns inside you, even when the world says it's foolish. It's about doing the hard, thankless work, not for recognition, but for humanity. From the battlefield hospitals of Crimea to the foundations of modern nursing, Florence Nightingale proved that one determined person can change the fate of thousands. She showed us that light does not shine brightest in comfort, but in the darkest places where hope seems lost. And sometimes all it takes is a lamp in the night to show the world a better way. That's a power story. What's yours?